RNC News Radio 620, WTMJ, Milwaukee.
Good morning, 9:01. We have 76 degrees, sunny skies. It's going to be hot and humid, and we could see more storms again this evening, some possibly severe. High today, 91 with the heat index near 100. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Connie Weber. It is day one of the Republican National Convention. An estimated 50,000 people have arrived in Milwaukee. CBS's Matt Piper is one of them.
Officials here say everything is still a go despite the assassination attempt of Donald Trump. More than 50,000 attendees are expected at the four-day event, which kicks off today. The U.S. Secret Service is the leading coordinating agency for this week's events. Agent Audra Gibson-Cachino says nothing has changed.
This event is designated as a national special security event, so it is an 18-month process that involves all levels of government that are contributing to the operational security plans for this event.
The RNC platform is dedicated to the forgotten men and women of America. Each night has a theme. Tonight's Make America Wealthy once again. It's also where Donald Trump may announce his running mate. Matt Piper, CBS News, Milwaukee.
Milwaukee Mayor Cavalier Johnson said this morning he's fully confident in the security details surrounding the convention.
The folks on the ground here have confidence in the work that they've put in over the course of the last 18 months. The director of the United States Secret Service continues to have faith in the work that happened over the last 18 months for security. And I have faith and confidence as well in the Secret Service, in the Milwaukee Police Department, and other law enforcement agencies that are providing public safety here today.
And Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas told ABC's George Stephanopoulos on GMA this morning.
We have been planning for the security of the Republican National Convention for 18 months. It is a national security special event. We work very closely not only with our federal government partners, but with state and local authorities.
As far as the attempted assassination of former President Trump, Mayorkas vows to conduct an independent review of Secret Service protection. As the convention kicks off today, delegates and residents alike will be contending with hot and humid weather. Storm Team 4 meteorologist Tyler Moore says temps are expected to be in the 90s today. And as we mentioned, another round of severe weather possible this evening.
Dinner time and beyond till about midnight is kind of the window that we're looking at. The evening hours for today for some strong to severe thunderstorms possible, mainly along and south of 94 down towards northern Illinois. We'll see the highest risk for severe weather, but that risk will be across all of southern Wisconsin heading into this evening.
Hundreds of thousands of Houston area residents still sweltering in the dark after Hurricane Beryl slammed Texas last week. As of last check, nearly 290,000 customers were without electricity. CenterPoint Energy warns that it could take till Friday for some areas to see service fully restored. Target shoppers free to bring cash, credit, or debit cards, but you can leave your checkbooks at home. As of July 15th, the big retailer will no longer accept personal checks as payment for purchases. Time for some news about your money in the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. The Dow is up 156 points, the Nasdaq up 130, and the S&P 500 up 26 points this morning. Financial planning at every level, Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 9:05.
Do you remember that electric moment when you suddenly realized that she was the one?
The one you were going to love forever.
The one you'd been waiting your whole life to meet.
She is the one.
The one.
Now it's time to find the one engagement ring that sparkles like she does.
Come to Kessler's Diamonds. We have a collection of incredibly special diamond engagement rings called the One Collection.
You need one special engagement ring for the one woman you will ever love.
Kessler's Diamonds is the one jewelry store where you can find the One Collection.
And Kessler's is the one store that offers the world-famous, no excuses, no fine print, lifetime warranty on every diamond engagement ring we sell.
We have the freedom to do this for you because Kessler's Diamonds is the one diamond store owned by its employees.
The One Collection starts at just $550.
Welcome to Kessler's.
Find the Kessler's nearest you at kesslersdiamonds.com.
The new fractured boulders we now have in stock are really nice. They're squarer and more rectangular in shape, and they're great for building dry-laid retaining walls. They're much easier to deal with, lock together nicely, and you get less gaps. No wet mortar needed. And we've stocked a multitude of colors. You can use them as an accent item to add character to your dry river or creek beds too. Erickson's Landscape Supply. High-quality mulch and stone for a whole lot less. Commercial or residential. Visit ericksonslandscapesupply.com to see our entire selection. Our organic mulch is comprised of all trees. Most mulch is made from ground-up pallets, and you don't know what might have been spilled on those pallets. Could be chemicals or who knows what. But not our mulch, we're recycling trees. Many species of hardwoods: cedar, hemlock, light brown, dark brown, mocha, black, red, gold, and caramel. 7 colors to choose from means a mulch to match any exterior. Erickson's Landscape Supply. High-quality mulch and stone for a whole lot less. Commercial or residential, visit ericksonslandscapesupply.com to see our entire selection.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update from the Brewer Law Office's One Call That's All Sports Desk. The Brewers entered the All-Star break with some positive momentum after salvaging their series against the Nationals. So Willie Adames blasted a 2-run homer and finished with 4 RBIs, and Milwaukee's 9-3 over the Nationals from American Family Field. Brew Crew still first in the NL Central at 55-42. Bucks got blown out by the Cavaliers 112-81 in the NBA Summer League from Las Vegas. Bucks hit the hardwood again tomorrow night against the Clippers. Take a look at your roads now with your WTMJ Johnson & Sons Paving Time Saver traffic. It has been a tough morning getting into downtown. The exits are closed, and there are some pretty long lines at some of those traffic checkpoints getting into the perimeter of the RNC. If you can avoid downtown, you're advised to do so. Otherwise, highways looking okay. I-894 westbound, a little slow from the Mitchell interchange to the Hale interchange. Your WTMJ Johnson's 5-day forecast. Hot and humid today with late storms today, a high of 91, a heat index 95 to 100. Maybe those storms could be severe tonight with a low of 71. A little bit cooler tomorrow. Humidity starts to drop, partly cloudy with a high of 82. Cooler Wednesday with lower humidity, mostly sunny with a high 78. Sunny on Thursday, the last day of the convention, a high 75, and then sunshine on Friday, a high of 79. Madison at 75, Green Bay 77, Milwaukee 76 degrees. I'm Connie Weber, citing Unlimited WTMJ News Time, 9:08.
This is WTMJ at the Republican National Convention. Now broadcasting live from Media Row at the Panther Arena inside the RNC. This is the Political Power Hour. Here is your host, Steve Scafidi.
And good morning. Welcome. We are at the RNC in the Panther Arena. We're going to be talking about politics all week, obviously, and the storyline and narrative has changed significantly since last time we talked. Assembled on this fine Monday morning, Joseph Heckey, Democratic strategist. To my left, Bill McCoshen, who did a heck of a job getting down here. Where did you park? Olympian effort to get down here. And a special guest right out of the gates, my congressman. I like to say that because you are my congressman. I live in your district. Brian Steil, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Good to see you. We saw you at 2 4th of July parades.
We did, and you were like in 5, so you were doing your civic duty and talking to the all your constituents, which I always appreciate as somebody who was a former elected. Let's get to obviously the story Saturday was attempted assassination on the president, but for a head tilt, we're having a much different conversation this morning. I guess since we're at a political event, the political significance of that, we're all more than pleased, and I'm so happy that that's a universal theme, including from Democrats. The president had a nice talk to the nation last night. How does this, if any, in any way, change the race, do you think?
I think it's a sobering moment where everyone can take pause and reflect on the seriousness of the situation. But also maybe it's a moment for all of us to reflect on the political rhetoric and tone that has really gotten out of hand over the years. And so may we focus in on the challenges we face as a country. We're the greatest country in the world, but we do have serious challenges. And if we can focus in on the policies to get our country back on track, to have that adult conversation about how we bring down inflation, about how we secure the U.S.-Mexico border, about the national security situations that we face across the globe right now, that would be productive. And maybe this is that moment of sobriety that will allow the country to refocus.
One more question before the guys jump in. I'm going to be curious, and I'm going to be listening very closely to the speeches made at this convention starting this afternoon. Do you think that tone you talked about will be represented in the speeches made in front of the collective delegates, all the electeds who will be here, all the dignitaries of the Republican Party? Will we see that sort of demand to calm it down, be a little more calmer in our political presentation? Will we see that?
I believe we will. I've talked to a number of my colleagues who will be speaking here in Milwaukee over the course of today and the next 3 days. I think there is a broader incentive here to focus in on the policies rather than the rhetoric that we've seen get out of hand. I'm confident that'll occur.
Congressman, you are supposed to be one of the targeted seats this year. Democrats are trying to flip the 1st, the 8th, and the 3rd. Since the announcement of Peter Barker, your opponent, we haven't heard much from him. How's the race going? And give us an update.
I'm of the view that in Wisconsin, anytime you're running, you got to have your foot all the way down on the pedal. And so whether or not you have an opponent or not, I go full steam ahead. Steve and I were joking that I did 5 4th of July parades. You add in Kenosha at 6 in total, covered over 20 miles on foot just on the 4th of July alone. You got to be out there working, talking to voters, talking about policies. I actually enjoy that part of the job, going out and interacting with people. And so if you're doing that, at the end of the day, the voters reward you.
Congressman, appreciate all your comments. Wondering what the mood is among delegates this morning at Democratic Party conventions. They start with breakfasts. I don't know if you were at one this morning, but I'm sure you've been talking to Wisconsin Republicans. Curious what their mood is in the wake of the near tragedy and still horrific chaos we saw in Pennsylvania.
The first official event started last night on the Summerfest grounds. A great concert. People were there. People were excited. Talked to a ton of folks, not only from Wisconsin, but from across the country. I think the tone is that people are excited to elect President Donald Trump. And I think that moment of sobriety that occurred over the weekend, where we recognize the seriousness of this situation and the seriousness of what we have to do as a country to come back and get on track. But I think what you're going to see over the course of the week is a crescendo of excitement all the way up until Thursday when President Trump is nominated here in Milwaukee.
Wisconsin Congressman Brian Steil joining us at the RNC. We're live from the Panther Arena. What's your role here this week? What will you be doing besides shaking hands with your colleagues?
I'll be doing a lot of media, talking about the policies that we need to move ourselves forward. There's a number of official kind of policy panels. I'll be speaking with the CEO of Microsoft, talking about AI, obviously a huge data center getting built out in Racine, Wisconsin. Speaking with other different industry groups around town, a lot of businesses, a lot of employers in our area. And then ultimately, this is all at the end of the day about electing President Donald Trump.
I was doing an interview last night with an Indiana TV station, and they were talking about the economic questions that voters will have going into November. Gas and groceries, a big one. You think that's the issue for Wisconsin voters? Is that the big issue, you think?
I think the number one issue is the cost of living. And I think the fact that the average product has gone up 20% in 3.5 years, and some of that more than others. So many families can't afford the things that they need to get by. And when you have those types of pocketbook issues occurring in our community, people are going to hold the president accountable. There's going to be a question as to what caused this inflation. The president's going to try to make an argument that it's big, bad corporations, greedy corporations, it's fees. I think what a lot of people know and see is there was the reckless spending coming out of the first 2 years of the Biden administration. They had one-party control that lit inflation on fire, and we're still dealing with the consequences.
Got to ask you the VP question, right? Everybody's wondering, who is that going to be? Could it come tonight? The president may even speak tonight. There's, obviously a lot of people talking about that. Do you have a favorite in the race? Do you have an idea who that might be?
I think one man knows who that's going to be, and that's Donald Trump.
Oh, that's the safe answer. I don't want the safe answer.
But I think the good news is we have a lot of really good options on the Republican side to take that role. That could be a Glenn Youngkin. It could be a Tim Scott. It could be Marco Rubio. And so the good news is we have a lot of good quality individuals who could step up to the plate on the Republican side.
They haven't asked you yet.
They have not asked me, and I will not be the vice president.
Congressman Brian Steil, I'll let you get on your way. You got a lot of media to do today. Pleasure to see you as always.
Steve, thanks for having me.
Have a busy day
Great
at the RNC. We'll take a break here and listen to Political Power Hour right here on 620 WTMJ.
Throughout history, some people have been born into greatness because of their name or family. Others gained greatness because of their actions. On Wisconsin's Morning News, we celebrate everyday heroes, the John or Jane Doe who had no idea when they woke up one morning they'd be saving a life. Everyday Heroes, Thursday at 6:40 on Wisconsin's Morning News. Presented by Azura Memory Care and Assisted Living, transforming the culture of care.
Gorgeous new roofs, showstopper siding, or classic brick and stonework. How about modern windows and regal doors that'll make your chin hit the floor? To a lot of people, having these things can really make them enjoy where they live. It makes them proud. But there's always one thing standing in the way. How do I make that happen? At Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors, we have excellent financing options for most people in most situations. 12 months, no interest, no payments. And exceptional rates for long-term loans that will beat your bank with no additional fees or hidden costs. You can go to SemperFiRoofing.com to apply for your pre-approval today. We want to make any project affordable to almost any person, and we've gone out of our way to find partners that can help make it happen for you. This is Brad Youngbluth with Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors, your local, veteran-owned and operated exterior remodeling company. For your new roof, siding, window and door installation, or masonry work, you can count on Semper Fi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry, Semper Fi.
Ask about our finance options.
It's WTMJ's Debbie Loziga for Comfort Awnings. You've heard me talk about the wonderful new retractable awning the team at Comfort Awnings installed at my home. Now I can have all the cookouts and get-togethers in my backyard with some extra shade and relaxation for my guests. Comfort Awnings is a local family-owned company in Burlington that provides expert installation in southeast Wisconsin and northern Illinois. Now until the end of July, you can receive $400 off any awning or screen. Call 414-AWNINGS or visit comfortawnings.com to learn more.
One of the biggest staples of summer is back. It's Cream Puffapalooza. How cool is that? This is the best way to get your cream puff fix ahead of the Wisconsin State Fair. You don't even have to wait until the end of the month. Register now for your free 4-pack of cream puffs right now on WTMJ.com. Don't wait, right now. Or text PUFF, P-U-F-F, to the WTMJ Talk and Text line 855-616-1620. Get there fast because we hit our limits. Once we hit our limit, we're done. I don't know what that number is. I will be there along with Kristen Bry. Make sure you get registered. It's Cream Puffapalooza, which happens only here on WTMJ. I'm joined at the RNC. Pantherina is our location by Bill McCoshen, Republican strategist. Joe Zepecki, Democratic strategist. First of all, thanks to both of you for making the supreme effort to get down here. It's not easy. We've kind of all taking different roads to get here.
Yeah, I don't want to hear McCoshen complaining about how President Biden is sometimes late and running behind anymore.
That's me complaining about that.
I would say we might be in the most secure place on the planet.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. You know what I said to all the law enforcement, public safety folks? Thanks for doing what you do.
Yeah,
that's what you said.
And you know what? They were so pleasant.
Yeah.
So the message went out, be pleasant, and I think that's something what we can talk about right here. There definitely was a tonal shift in the rhetoric over the weekend. I watched a lot of the Sunday morning shows. I even watched Ron Johnson in an interview, and that was not the Ron Johnson that I've been pretty critical of. He set the tone immediately, and I asked Congressman Steil that question, so I'm going to ask you guys that question. Will this last in this race?
Boy, I hope so. I mean, as I've been thinking about it over the weekend, what do we need now? It sounds self-serving, but I think we need more of what Bill and I do on the Political Power Hour with you every week.
That's why we do it.
We can have agreeable disagreements. Bill and I see the world very differently. We disagree on a lot of these policy questions, but we both love this country.
Yep.
We respect each other's point of view, and that if that is the takeaway from this, and it cools the temperature a little bit, I think that's a positive. Let's go have that debate that Congressman Steil was talking about on the policies. I think my side's right. Bill thinks his side's right. Let's have that debate as opposed to getting out of hand.
These are policy differences. This isn't a civil war. The fact that we almost had an assassination of a presidential candidate, we haven't had anything like that in the United States of America in 43 years. Ronald Reagan was the last one, 1981. It's a scary time, right? No differences are that great, right? This is something that can be resolved at the ballot box. If you got a candidate you support, get out there and support him. Encourage your friends to support him. But you don't need to get into the vitriol and the violent rhetoric that we've seen for a long time.
Do you think voters of all persuasions share that sentiment?
I hope so, and what I would remind them is that a brave former firefighter, Corey, I forget his last name, but the father who was killed at this event.
Tremendously sad story.
This hero who was shielding his family was civically engaged in his community and in this country enough to go and attend a political event, and he didn't get to go home. And that should break your heart.
Yeah.
Our thoughts and prayers are not only with his family, but with the other folks who were wounded there. This cannot be who we are. And I was very glad to hear President Biden echo that message over and over again throughout the weekend, and not at all surprised.
President Biden, I think, spoke twice yesterday, right? Short statement in the morning, then from the Oval Office later. We'll go to you first, Joe. I mean, your thoughts? I thought he did very well.
Yeah. As challenging and scary and terrifying as these moments can be, they're actually pretty easy to get right.
Yeah.
And we have seen that from Joe Biden to Speaker Mike Johnson. I didn't catch Senator Johnson, but I take your word that he was, said and did all the right things and struck the right notes. That's the job for everybody. I hope it will last. We are in a political season. What I hope we can get to is the place where we're disagreeing agreeably.
Yeah.
And there is a choice in this. There's two different visions of America, and the voters are going to be the ones who decide that. it is patriotic to have that debate. It is unpatriotic and un-American for it to ever to devolve into violence.
His Saturday night remarks, a lot on my side thought came late, but the reality was he was at church and he was traveling, and then he had to get to a media center in Delaware. So I have no issue with that, and I thought his comments on Saturday night were fine. I thought Sunday morning they were fine. I thought last night was a missed opportunity, frankly.
How so?
I think they should have been more authentic. I don't think he should have used the teleprompter at all. I think he should have spoke from the heart. Joe Biden, I may disagree with him on just about every single policy, but I think he's a good man and a good Catholic, and I think he should have spoke from the heart. Even if it was only 3 minutes versus 6 minutes, I think that would have had a much bigger impact, because he struggled with what was on the prompter a couple different times, where he said battle box, right, versus ballot box, and then he almost said make America great again, and you could see him sort of contorting himself, thinking through it. I think he was misserved by his staff last night. If I'm Joe or Joe Biden last night, I say just speak from the heart. If it's 3 minutes, 3 minutes.
I think part of that story might be that we all saw the debate and how stilted and weird the whole night was for the incumbent president, Joe Biden. And I think part of that might be just his staff trying to protect him. Let's be honest, teleprompters become a crutch.
They do.
For all people.
And let's also be clear, whether you're 41 or 81, it's the job of political staff to protect the boss.
Yeah, no, it is.
And I would argue Oval Office
no place
and
more
you
so
want
than
a very
that.
specific message, which gets loaded into the prompter. I'm not sure that message would have come from Joe Biden.
He is Bill McCoshen, Republican strategist, Joe Zepecki on the Democratic side. We'll take a break. I wanted to start talking about the events on Saturday, what they mean, not just from the political sense, we're going to get to that, but just what they mean for the Secret Service and public safety and the protection of our elected officials. All that and more in the Political Power Hour on 620 WTMJ.
The Upswing with Jeff Sherman.
Let's talk a couple minutes about your grilling methods.
Get to know what's going on in the community and businesses throughout Milwaukee and Wisconsin.
Okay, so you have to understand, preface this, that I'm really a sausage snob.
Okay, well, you should be. Well, you've earned that right.
Right, so I don't want to offend anybody.
Weekdays from 10 to 11 on WTMJ. Presented by Horicon Bank, the natural choice for all your banking needs.
Wait now or wait a little longer. You may have just increased your lifetime income by tens of thousands of dollars. That's how Social Security can work for you. The longer you wait, the more money you may get. Deciding when to start taking your Social Security benefits is one of the most important retirement decisions you'll make. Our team at Drake & Associates can show you the options and help make the right decision for your situation. You spent decades paying in. Optimize what comes out. Drake & Associates can help you squeeze every penny out of your Social Security benefits. Claim your free retirement-ready toolkit that has guides on Social Security. To get our complimentary toolkit, call or text SS to 414-409-9982. That's calling or texting SS to 414-409-9982.
Investment advisory services provided by Drake & Associates, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Insurance products are offered through a separate company, Loft Financial Advisory Group, LLC, a Wisconsin insurance agency. Clients are under no obligation to purchase any recommended insurance products.
We love being a trusted friend in the community for those who need an attorney but don't know where to turn. Our clients aren't the kind of people who typically bring lawsuits. Our clients have been hurt in a crash or accident and need our help and advice. I'm Frank Pasternak of Pasternak & Zergabel. Jeff Zergabel and I are injury attorneys living, working, and giving back in our community. When you need help from exceptional personal injury lawyers, go to Pasternak & Zergabel at injurywisconsin.com.
Buying a home should be a joy, but could you imagine doing this without a realtor? Paperwork, inspections, appraisals, deadlines, showings, market research? Or you could relax. Or understanding legal documents, negotiating offers, coordinating inspections, securing finance. Oh, sorry. A realtor can take the stress out of the home buying process. See how at wra.org/a-realtor-can. Brought to you by the Wisconsin Realtors Association.
Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors.
With an ever-changing inventory, you never know what great bargains you're going to be able to find at St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores. It makes shopping fun because the best finds are the ones you had no idea you'd even come across. And when they're at thrift store prices, it feels good. And it feels even better to know you're helping us help others. Shop St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores on Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield, 23rd in Lincoln, and 76th and Bradley Road in Milwaukee.
You're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
Broadcasting live from the RNC Panther Arena. I love this old place. And Bill McCoshen.
A lot of history here. I went to my first Bucks game in this arena.
Yeah, I probably did too. Yeah, there's a lot of history in this
Dr.
building.
J's last game.
Really? You saw
Yeah,
Dr. J's
I
last
saw
game?
Dr. J's last game.
He was the best.
He was the best.
We're not going to talk about basketball, though.
No.
Saturday's events, I was at home watching TV, which is, my boring life. If I'm not outside, I'm watching political coverage on all the networks. And I see this unfold. CNN's, they're bannering this thing. We obviously see the video shortly where he's being taken off stage. And then I did 3 hours of live radio on Saturday night on WTMJ, never expecting to do it. But, my take was, one, stunned that it happened. It had been, as you said, 1981 when Ronald Reagan was shot and almost killed.
Yeah.
All those times, I guess I got into this position where I thought, you know what? That's not going to happen anymore. We are so secure. So what, in your minds, not the political piece yet, but what happened, Seth? Where was the failure here?
We need a lot of answers.
Yeah.
And there are already a lot of questions being asked. As I shared with you guys over the weekend, a few years back, I read a book by Carol Lennick called Zero Fail, The Rise and Fall of the U.S. Secret Service. And one of the takeaways, just very briefly, is that as the global war on terror post 9/11 began, the Secret Service's mission expanded and the demands for protective details and agents exploded at the same time. And people can understand that, like they've been hearing for years, it's harder for the Army and the Navy and the Air Force to recruit people who want these types of public service jobs, meet certain physical fitness standards, and they've had a challenge. And this agency for more than a decade has been, really struggling to have the man and woman power to do the job. That is not an excuse, and there will be top to bottom exhaustive examinations of this, as there should. This cannot be allowed to happen with someone as important as a president or former president.
Yeah, I think I would suspend Director Cheadle today and accelerate this investigation and have it done by Friday. It shouldn't take that long. Let me tell you why. There were multiple reports yesterday that the sniper, the United States Secret Service sniper, actually saw this guy for 3 minutes before he took a shot, and he was not given the green light. If that is even remotely accurate, that is beyond unacceptable on every level.
One of the themes that's been talked about in respect to what happened here is that there was a lack of communication between the feds and the local agencies. That seems like why that may have been allowed to take place. There wasn't active communication between the levels.
Well, and you had a local police officer who actually scaled the building, saw the guy. The guy turned the gun on him, and he went down.
But how is that not immediately?
Didn't he have a sidearm where he could have shot at him? And there's a lot of questions. Joe's right about that, and they need to get answered quickly. This can't be an exhaustive 2-month investigation.
And they will be answered, I am confident. And I just want to say, and I hope, if nothing else, this can also lead to a conversation about the types of firearms that are too readily available to people that should not have them. We can have this conversation from a policy standpoint. Pennsylvania is an open carry state. That rifle was purchased legally by the boy's father, it sounds like. Until he pulled the trigger, what law did he break? We've got to find a way to make sure our laws reflect the need for public safety and the safety of VIPs.
Yeah, the scariest part to me is this kid doesn't appear to have much of a footprint, right? Usually
he's
there's
20 years old.
Footprint on social media or otherwise. They haven't been able to get into his phone yet, but it's not clear what the motive was, and that is really deeply scary to me.
All right, we're going to take a break for local and the latest from ABC, but I want to get to the political ramifications of what happened Saturday. If we know, my guest, Bill McCoshen, Republican strategist, Joe Zepecki. On the other side of the political aisle, we have a week of shows from the RNC. We are just getting warmed up. We are live at the Panther Arena, and you're listening to 620 WTMJ, local and the latest from ABC coming up in a few moments.
This is a special report from ABC News. Documents case dismissed. I'm Sherry Preston. This morning, a major move from the judge overseeing the federal classified documents case against former President Donald Trump. Judge Eileen Cannon throwing out the case. Here's ABC's Aaron Katursky.
The judge fully agreed with former President Trump's defense attorneys that the appointment of special counsel Jack Smith by Attorney General Merrick Garland was unconstitutional. They said only Congress should be allowed to authorize the appointment of someone of Smith's stature, and only Congress is allowed to authorize the funding for an investigation.
Now, the case centered on Trump's alleged mishandling of classified documents at his Mar-a-Lago estate. No word from Trump's team yet, but some of his closest allies are described as ecstatic. This comes as the Republican National Convention is set to start later today in Milwaukee. The former president is there after a bullet pierced his ear at a campaign rally in Pennsylvania. This is ABC News.
Citing Unlimited WTMJ News Time 9:31, we will continue to cover that breaking news story. The Judge Eileen Cannon's case dismissed over the classified documents case of President Trump. We'll have more details throughout the day right here on WTMJ. The Daily Show canceled their TV tapings at the Marcus Performing Arts Center that were planned for today through Thursday. Show resumes Tuesday in New York City with the possibility of returning to Milwaukee in the coming weeks. Venue's president and CEO issued a statement supporting the network's decision, emphasizing the necessity of proceeding with an abundance of caution for everyone involved. A Milwaukee restaurant's fired an employee for making remarks about the attempted assassination of former President Trump. Tupelo Honey sharing on social media, the employee made the comment about the assassination Sunday evening, and a full HR investigation is underway. Longtime local restaurant could be no more. Jake's Restaurant in Brookfield facing the foreclosure of its building. Milwaukee Business Journal's Teddy Nykiel tells Wisconsin's Weekend Morning News what that means for customers. Foreclosures auction was supposed to take place last week. It has been rescheduled for next month. Jake's has been open since 1960. Time for some news about your money in the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. The Dow is up 152 points at 40,153. S&P 500 up 30 at 5,645. The NASDAQ is up 147 at 18,545. Get an honest opinion of where you are financially and where you're headed. Work with a fee-only fiduciary. Start at annexwealth.com. Taking a look at the roads now with your WTMJ Johnson & Sons Paving Time Saver traffic. It is slow and go getting into and out of downtown, of course, because of the convention. Exits from the highways are pretty much blocked this morning, and some of those vehicle checkpoints are causing some major delays. Otherwise, highways looking okay at this hour. No major slowdowns to report. Here's your WTMJ 5-day forecast. It's going to be hot and humid today with storms late today. A high of 90, that heat index up to nearly 100. We could see some evening severe storms tonight with a low 71. Cooler tomorrow. The humidity starts to drop, partly cloudy with a high of 82. Wednesday, humidity, a little bit of humidity, lower humidity, mostly sunny, a high 78. Thursday, mostly sunny with a high 75, and sunny skies on Friday with a high of 79. Madison's at 70, Green Bay 72, Waukesha 66, and Milwaukee 75 degrees. I'm Connie Weber, citing Unlimited WTMJ News Time 9:33.
When you want the best medical attention, you don't just go to anybody, you go to a specialist. The same should be true with your car or truck. I'm Jim Token, president of the Auto Dealers Association of Metro Milwaukee. When your vehicle needs service, take it to a specialist, an Adam member new car dealer. Adam dealers use factory warranted parts, the latest diagnostic equipment, and certified manufacturer technicians specially trained on the advanced technology on your vehicle. They have all the latest manufacturer service bulletins and will know if your issue is covered by an existing warranty or if there are any recalls. And despite what you might assume, their prices are as low or lower than independent shops, even on routine maintenance and tires. Now, knowing all that, why would you even consider going anywhere other than an Adam member dealer?
For great paying job opportunities, visit adam.com. That's ADAMM.com.
Every great Midwest bank branch has document imaging technology from James Imaging Systems. Michael Quizon is IT Systems Administrator. Michael, the bank has a slogan.
We are called Simply Local. We're a Simply Local bank.
And your business technology company, James Imaging Systems, has been a 100% locally owned and managed company right here in Wisconsin for over 40 years.
They're more like a partner to us.
In what way?
We call on them at any point, they're there. We ask them any questions that we have, they're there.
James Imaging Systems, document imaging technology, and local service and support.
We can get our printers up and running right away if we have any issues. We can do our business without any downtime at all.
The benefit to Great Midwest Bank?
Efficient operations, time savings on my end. There's no other partner that we can bring on.
Start your partnership with James Imaging Systems today. Call 262-781-7700. James Imaging Systems, your local business technology partner.
We are broadcasting live from the RNC, the Panther Arena. A lot of history in this building. Bill McCoshen, Republican strategist. Joe Zepecki on the Democratic side of things. Gentlemen, we talked about the events of Saturday, but we're at the RNC. There's political implications to all of this. So we'll start with you, Bill. You're a Republican. You're a conservative. What do you think this means short-term and long-term for this race?
Well, I tweeted about this, so for your listeners that follow me on social media, I think it does have a profound impact on the race in a couple different ways. First, as it relates to imagery. Political optics are huge today, and people live in 20-second Snapchats or Instagrams and things like that. There are two things that have happened in the last 3 weeks. The June 27th debate, where one candidate looked weak, I'll be kind, and then July 14th, where another candidate was almost assassinated and got up, pumped his fist, and said, fight. Strength. That's the image that has been built into this campaign going forward. One guy's very weak, one guy's very strong, and that's an imagery, if you're Donald Trump's campaign or our side, you want. That's a winner for sure. I think it also sort of tones down the rhetoric on the left about threat to democracy, existential threat. None of those things were ever true, but now they're even more false, right? This guy's been president before. Democracy survived. We have a 248-year experiment that is the best in the world, any time ever created in the world, and it's going to continue, regardless of which one of these gentlemen win. But I would say the rhetoric should come down. And to the point where it doesn't, I would hope people push back. And MSNBC did that a little bit themselves today.
Took Morning Joe off the air.
Morning Joe off the air because they weren't confident that him and Mika weren't going to go crazy on this.
Yeah, I don't get that one. Listen, Saturday morning, I shared an article reporting about how the Trump campaign is already getting ready to challenge the outcome of the election if they lose. When my side talks about threats to democracy, that's what we're talking about. And I'm just not sure. I don't disagree with you that those images are incredibly powerful. But I also recognize that a global pandemic that killed 1 million Americans, the Dobbs decision, multiple impeachments of former President Trump, the worst debate performance we've ever seen. I could go on, but we have had incredibly tumultuous events happen in the last 10 years in our politics, and there's just not that much that has changed because we are a deeply divided, polarized country. And so there may be a profound political impact based on this, but I would just caution people, I'm not so sure. If none of those other things that we've seen in the last 8 or 9 years have really changed the contours of our politics, why should this one? Do we really think we're heading for a presidential election that isn't going to be close? The last two came down to fewer than 100,000 votes across a couple states.
Okay, I hear what you're saying, but how does that jive with your list of 5 things that could change the race? One was a black swan event, one was
Neither of these
a health
two
question.
things were on there.
Yeah.
Right? We had a podcast about that. Your listeners can go back and hear it.
Yeah.
Neither of these two things were on either my or Joe's list of things that could change the race, yet here we are. So you expect the unexpected. Good campaigns adjust to opportunities or challenges. Bad campaigns don't. And I would say the Trump campaign has adjusted phenomenally well. To the point where he's now being credited for being deeply disciplined. That isn't a characterization I use frequently to describe him.
Good segue to my question. So we now know the president is on the ground in Wisconsin. Apparently stayed at the Pfister last night. There's some thought that he might speak to the convention briefly tonight.
I think he is going to.
You think he's going to?
Yeah.
What do you think he'll say?
I think I'm going to use his own words. I'm going to take him at his word. Yesterday, he was asked by some national reporters if this changes the race, and he said, yes, I tore up my speech that I was going to give on Thursday night. He plans to not only unite the country, but the world on Thursday night. I think it's a big challenge, but I think it's also an unbelievable opportunity. If he can do it, there are people, Joe, that will never believe anything he says. I get that. And maybe that's 45% of America. But I think there's a gettable segment of society that if he says the right things, and I think from Ron Johnson to Tommy Thompson to Scott Walker, all of our leaders here have been saying all the right things. I think Congressman Steil was very good this morning. I think we ought to continue that and hold ourselves to that every Friday on the Political Power Hour.
We're not the problem, Bill.
We are not the problem. We are the solution, maybe. Bill McCosh and Joseph Pecky, my guests, they join me every Friday, and I have them for the bookends of the RNC, Monday and Thursday, and they may jump in if breaking news happens as we're live at the RNC. Speaking of breaking news, there is a breaking news story related to the legal side of all of this. We'll get to that with my guests. It's the Political Power Hour on 620 WTMJ.
Rose Gray here from Fox World Travel. The largest vacation sale in the nation is happening right now. It's the Fox World Travel exclusive July sale with Apple Vacations. Select from top resorts at favorite destinations in Mexico and the Caribbean, paired with nonstop flights to get you there fast. Let Fox World Travel book your best price guarantee vacation and secure your reservation with just a deposit. You can also book your trip online. Visit foxworldtravel.com/July or call 866-GO-FOX-GO today.
Hey, this is WTMJ Steve Goody for Adair Floors and Remodeling, ADAIR, simple as that. They've been in business for 65 years. Their design team, like my design team, ready to help with all your flooring and remodeling needs for your home or your business. They've done all kinds of work at my house. Business works too, family owned and operated right there in Franklin, South 27th Street. Figure if you go down 94 between Rawson and Highway 100, also known as Ryan Road, if you stop in, tell them Steve Scavidi sent you, or visit them online at ADAIR.com.
Tune in on Sundays at 10 a.m. for the AccuNet Mortgage and Realty Show. Join AccuNet's Brian and David Wickert for the most up-to-date information on mortgage trends, along with timely news on the real estate market. The housing market is in flux, but the national headlines don't often fit local market conditions. Find out what's really happening on the front lines of real estate and mortgage financing in Wisconsin and make better decisions by tuning in every Sunday at 10 a.m. The AccuNet Mortgage and Realty Show with Brian and David Wickert on WTMJ.
Vince Vitrano for Absolute Comfort HVAC and Electrical. I'm joined by Nicole. She and her husband Brent own the company. Nicole, why should folks call you guys?
Because we treat your home like ours. That means honest and high quality work. We want you to be a part of our family. We're there for your emergencies when you need it, but most important to us is building a long-term relationship for all of your HVAC and electrical needs.
Absolute Comfort HVAC and Electrical, 262-664-9284, yourcomfortguys.com.
Fleet Farm's got everything you need for everyday life. Brands from Carhartt to Milwaukee to Purina to Goodyear to Rapala to Levi's and a whole lot more. In-store or online, check out all the brands Fleet Farm carries to help make your everyday life better.
Come visit, learn, and discover at the recently opened Food and Farm Exploration Center near Stevens Point in Plover, Wisconsin. The 50,000 square foot Science and Technology Center is a place to take the entire family. Experience over 60 interactive exhibits, a children's play area, and demonstration farm fields. Also enjoy the colorful Plate Cafe featuring a menu of locally sourced ingredients that are simple, fresh, and healthy. Great food comes from small kitchens. Just a short drive from Milwaukee. Plan your visit today at explorefoodandfarm.org.
Hey, WTMJ's John Mercure here. Guthrie and Fry protects the water in my house. Guthrie and Fry has provided expert advice, quality service, and reliable water since 1974. Owners Sue and Rob are well known and very generous in the local community for supporting great causes that change lives. We've got their water softener. We've got their reverse osmosis system. Our water is crisp, clean, and clear. GFwater.com. It's Guthrie and Fry.
Better water makes a big difference. Guthrie and Fry.
All right, this is the breaking news portion of the Political Power Hour. Joseph Pecky, Bill McCosh joining me alongside here at the RNC Panther Arena. All right.
The news is newsing.
So we can let's do the documents case first. Judge Eileen Cannon has dismissed that, said Jack Smith was not
inappropriately appointed.
Yeah.
Only Congress can do it.
So there's been a lot of speculation and conjecture about this pretty inexperienced judge that was appointed by Trump. That is going to continue. Since the Watergate era, the rules around special prosecutors, and Lord knows we've had a few from the Clinton era to the Trump era, and I'm sure I'm forgetting some. This doesn't change all that much in my view, and here's why. This will be appealed, and it just guarantees that it won't come to trial before the election, and that was already basically not going to happen. There was like a 1% chance that was going to happen. So I'm not sure that one changes that much. But it's another big news moment.
Yeah, I mean, essentially the slate is almost now clean for Donald Trump's legal issues before the election. There might be a hearing in one of the cases.
The January 6th case could have some evidentiary hearings to determine what is an official act and what is not. This is the Jack Smith prosecution for the actions related to January 6th, where the Supreme Court recently held that official acts by a president are immune. There may be a hearing to try to determine what from that indictment that Jack Smith brought counts as an official act and what was like a campaign act or an unofficial act. That's the most likely thing to happen between now and election day.
Well, I think there's one other thing. I think in New York, it's entirely possible that the hush money case gets thrown out based on the immunity ruling by the United States Supreme Court. I think a lot of the evidence
make that case.
A lot of the evidence that was used was not what was done as in his official capacity. So I think there's a very good chance that that'll get thrown out in September. And I think there's now zero chance that judge would consider putting Donald Trump in jail if he doesn't dismiss.
Well, he wasn't going to do that anyways. But signing a personal check for things that happened before you were president is an official act?
Yeah.
That's what we're going with, huh? Okay.
So that's how the day starts, and we now know, Steve.
Yeah, Fox News reporting.
At the end of the day, the former president is going to choose his running mate. We're going to know here in Milwaukee.
I'm glad he's doing that because I predicted he would do it last night on the radio.
I thought we all said Sunday when we did this on Friday.
Did I say Sunday?
I've seen a lot of you guys recently.
I thought I said Monday or Tuesday.
Our heart only grows fonder for you, Joe Zepecki.
I appreciate that.
What else do you think is going to shake out here this week? Obviously, everyone's wondering what Donald Trump's going to say about what happens. I'm fascinated by hearing his description of that. This is the sad part of this. But for a few inches and a head tilt, this is a much different week.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine.
Millimeters.
I can't imagine what that would be like.
And I think it had a profound impact on him based on the comments he made, his public comments, his wife's comments. I think Melania Trump's comments yesterday were the best of any that were put out there. They were poignant. They talked about the man. They talked about the impact it would have had on their family, and they talked about the country, that this isn't who we are. I think of all the major public pronouncements since the assassination attempt, Melania Trump's was the best.
We will have some other things happening this week. Counter-programming. We know that tonight Joe Biden will sit down with Lester Holt from NBC News. It'll be really interesting to see what the timing is on the VP pick and how President Biden maybe has to react to that in real time.
Right.
I think Wednesday or Thursday he's got another primetime interview. The Biden campaign, pulled down all of its ads over the weekend. They have given the green light to start again tonight. We are in the middle of a campaign. We got to have these conversations.
That's a fine line that the president has to walk because you don't want to be, and he hasn't been very overtly political. He's just been being president.
No, and you can be factual and accurate. I can sit here. There's nothing wrong with me saying former President Trump was asked to give classified documents back to the federal government, and he refused to do it. And now that's being litigated. That can raise serious concerns about the judgment of former President Trump, and it might make people not want to trust him again with our nation's most treasured secrets. That's a conversation we can have, and it is not out of bounds. What is out of bounds is political violence and rhetoric that makes it more likely to happen.
Before we go to break, you never know who you're going to see. We just had Speaker Mike Johnson walk by. You're a Democrat, Joseph Peck. You're sitting at the RNC. I'm asking for professional advice. Who's the Democrat that I should be talking to, other than Joe Biden? I already put that request in. Who should I be talking to this week?
Any you can get, because right? Because
the Ben Wicklers of the
almost
world?
all of the folks here are Republicans,
Yes.
but they've been very welcoming
and very nice.
But if you can get a Democrat this week, you should get them because Democrats and Republicans are part of this country and the debate we're having. So if you can get both perspectives, that's good.
The only thing I'm going to ask for is at some point they move this blinder because there's all things happening.
Speaker Johnson just popped out right in front of us.
I can't see anybody this way. I can see everybody that way, but they're already past me.
Bill didn't tell us
he's not a large man. He's a
fellow short king like me. I like it.
All right, maybe we'll try to effort him for a different day when you guys aren't here. All right, we'll take a break. We'll get final thoughts, RNC coverage. Where else would you be but 620 WTMJ?
Creative Planning presents Rethink Your Money with John Hagenson, Saturday afternoon at 1. Creative Planning is a wealth management firm that believes in a total approach to building wealth that includes taxes, insurance, estate planning, and other personalized elements. This approach allows you to receive advice that is aligned with your unique goals and always in your best interests. Why not give your wealth a second look? Visit creativeplanning.com.
For Advent, hey, I needed that help last night, and that help was going to Advent, a few years ago. It was probably 4 years ago now. I had all the problems that a lot of people have, like poor sleep, snoring, all that stuff. Poor Kathy, my wife, had to deal with all that. I went to Advent for a quick 30-minute visit, put me at ease, answered my questions. Now, everybody's different problems, different sleep issues, but mine was a common one. Sinuses and nasal passages in my breathing triangle. After a short procedure done in office, back to breathing better than ever. My wife and I sleeping through the whole night. If you struggle like we did, take the time to see how Advent can help you. Do what I did. To find out how breathing well and sleeping well can make your nights better, go to adventknows.com. Schedule an appointment today, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better.
When you're due for tire service, visit richlands.com for the location nearest you.
We'll give you free flat tire repair on every tire we install. No questions asked. I'm Brett Matchke with Richlands. You're due for service.
Abby with Abby Windows here. If I had $1 for every time customers said, all windows look the same, just give me a price. Well, if that's the case, then you haven't seen ours yet. You're right. Most windows have welds that are ugly, jagged, and look all stitched up, similar to wearing your shirt inside out. I call them Frankenstein windows. If you want a clean, seamless miter that's not inside out, enter our fine line weld technology. Trust me, you'll believe it once you see it. For the best looking window on the market, call Abby Windows today. And if somebody asks you if you know a guy in the business, you can say no, but I know a girl.
It's Christmas in July at St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores. Get sale discounts store-wide all month long. What a great time to shop for all of your Christmas needs. Get your holiday decor and so much more, along with all the great bargains we always have for you. It's Christmas in July at St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores on Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield, 23rd in Lincoln, and 76th and Bradley Road in Milwaukee.
You're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station.
Our political coverage is just getting warmed up because this is the first day of the RNC in Milwaukee. So for all those folks who are listening from other places, because the stream is active and up, thank you to all of our engineers, including John Tyler and Scotty Pfeiffer. It is a pleasure to be here first. I've never done one of these, and I'm just the air in the room is incredible. Speaker Mike Johnson walking by. We had Brian Steil in earlier, but I got my guys.
We think we saw Rick Santorum.
Yeah, we think we saw Rick Santorum.
I'm not convinced yet.
I believe that was Rick Santorum. I'm going to hang my head on that one. We have Joseph Pecky and Bill McCoshen, left and right, Democrat and Republican. And first of all, thanks for being here, because this makes it a lot more fun to talk about this stuff. And I'm glad we can have fun today, because it could have been a much different story, as we said at the beginning. I want to give you a couple moments to kind of, Bill, you can shape the week, because you're going to be very involved in this week. And then, Joe, you can kind of give me what you think is going to happen.
I have 2 children working the event. One is
nice. Volunteers?
No, one has been with the RNC since last October here in Milwaukee.
Very nice.
He's going down to Palm Beach when this is all over. So he's got a chance of a lifetime as a 25-year-old. Pretty proud of him. My daughter, travel nurse, flew back from L.A. to volunteer for the week. She was also a volunteer at the Cleveland Convention back in 2016. And my oldest son, the 4 of us went down to Summerfest grounds last night.
We weren't there. How was it?
It was hot. It was really hot.
I mean, but fun?
Yeah, it was fun. They saved 13,500 went through the magnetometers. I think we talked to 10,000 of them. I mean,
it was uncomfortably hot yesterday.
I was wheeling my kids around, introducing them to people, and they couldn't believe, they all remember when they were little. And now here they are, 33, 29, and 25.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
I want to take a quick moment, because Bill mentioned something Steve and I talked about beforehand. The kids who work on these campaigns, not just at the RNC, at the DNC, for the Biden campaign, for the Trump campaign, are almost overwhelmingly, like 85, 90% of them are under the age of 30, in my experience. All of you listening should be thinking of all of those young people. They are scared. They don't know what happens next. They are trying to do their best to serve their community and their future and the country they want to live in. So leave the kids alone. Think of them. Send them some positive vibes, because these are also scary times. And I hope we're thinking of them as this week unfolds. Here's what I'm watching real quick, and then I'll yield to Bill. political conventions are an opportunity to tell a story.
Yeah.
Over 4 days. What I'm looking for is what story is this convention going to tell? We have seen versions of Donald Trump, his inaugural address, oftentimes his rhetoric from the podiums, that forgetting about political violence and not any of that stuff, he just paints a pretty dark picture of where we are as a country. And I don't share that view. I see an economy that is doing better than we thought it would at this point. I see at the church festival I was at this weekend and golfing yesterday or being able to afford parking, that things are not as bad as the Republican candidate for president sometimes wants you to believe that they are. Whether that the story they tell can connect with where Americans believe we are as a country is what to watch this week.
So one of my mentors in politics was the late John McIver. He was a senior partner at Michael Best law firm for years and years and years. He was always Tommy Thompson's chairman of his campaigns, all 4 of them, when Tommy was elected governor. John McIver taught me this very important lesson. He said, Bill, define a win. What's a win look like? So for me, what a win looks like this week is Donald Trump bringing the country together. Him leaving the stage on Thursday night and people saying, you know what, he's right. We got to come together. We got to get beyond this toxic politics. It's okay to disagree on policy. That's gonna continue for the rest of our lives. But for me, I talked about it on Friday. I did not want this to be the Festivus convention, the airing of the grievances.
Right.
I'm sad at how we got to that point, but it appears that we are not going to do that, and we're going to talk about the future. And I think, honestly, I think that's what voters are looking for. I talked to a lot of folks last night who are not Trumpers, who were at this thing at Summerfest, and they said they are all in. That he would have been their 5th choice in the primary. They are all in after what happened on Saturday. So I think there was a uniting aspect for Republicans, and my hope is that we leave here a win for me as he begins to unite the country.
All right, we're going to do a quick sweepstakes. Who's going to be the VP pick announced tonight? Joe Zepecki?
I'm going to stick with Doug Burgum.
Doug Burgum? Yeah.
I'm still going off the board. I'm going to take Youngkin.
And I'll take Haley just because it's a wild card. And I might come back to Haley. I've had a lot of thoughts on that. Gentlemen, we'll reconvene Thursday officially, but if you have something. If not sooner. Yeah, if not sooner, we are going to have a lot of breaking news this week. We are all over this, of course, at 620 WTMJ. Great political coverage. All the shows you expect, all great guests, all week from the RNC. We're at the Panther Arena. I'm heading off to the Pfizer Forum to do some stuff, and I will be all over. I'm doing BBC Radio tonight, of all things, so busy week for the Stever.
The old country.
Yes. It's the mother country, right? You have your English accent ready?
I think that's why they call me. I'll use lovely a lot. I think they say that. Gentlemen, we'll reconvene on Thursday, lovely, if not sooner. This has been the Political Power Hour on 620 WTMJ.
This is Richard Salinas, registered nurse with Rejuvenex Arthritis Clinics, and I want to talk about exactly what we do. When you